my fellow board members, Dr. O'Brien, staff, and Goose Creek team, and to our community. I want to welcome you, and now I shall call our meeting of Goose Creek Consolidated Independent School Board. August 5th meeting is called to order, and it is 6 p.m. Reach you by 3. Mr. Campisi, was the meeting, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Madam President, we have a quorum.
And was the meeting posted?
The meeting was properly posted.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Dr. O'Brien, I'm gonna now move for recognition and, oh, sorry.
We'll turn it over to Ms. Clark.
Yes.
We'll kick our meeting off this evening with some acknowledgments, I believe.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. O'Brien. Good evening, President Brock-Timms, board members. Dr. O'Brien, welcome all to the August 5th, 2024 meeting of the Goose Creek CISD Board of Trustees. We will begin the opening exercises with the prayer led by Ms. Tiffany Guy. Please rise.
Lord, thank you for our many blessings, and thank you for getting everyone here safely tonight. Please guide us in decision making so we're making decisions in the best interest of our students and community. And may all we do this new school year be done to honor you. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Guy. And the pledges of allegiance to the United States and Texas flag will be led by Mr. Jim Campisi.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated. We will now move to recognitions and acknowledgments, starting with Advanced Placement Scholar Awards presented by Dr. Shannon Ramirez.
Good evening, Dr. O'Brien, President Brock-Timms, and board members. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present our AP Scholars to you tonight. So based on the 2024 Advanced Placement Exam Administration, we had 57 Goose Creek CISD students named AP Scholars, which is up from 35 last year. Earning the designation of AP Scholar is a huge accomplishment, so let's give all 57 of these students a big round of applause. All right. The College Board recognized several levels of achievement based on the number of AP exams taken and the scores given. The levels of achievement that we'll be recognizing tonight are AP Scholar with Honor, and AP Scholar with Distinction. We will only recognize the students who will be able to be with us tonight. Some of them present are attending various colleges and universities in the fall, so we're excited to welcome them back. So students, when your name is called, please come forward to receive your award and then remain at the front for a group picture. Parents or guardians, as well as family members, please stand when your student's name is called. All right. During the 23-24 school year, 43 students throughout the district qualified for the AP Scholar Award by completing 3 or more AP exams with scores of 3 or higher. 5 earned an average score of at least a 3.25 on all AP exams if scores are 3 or higher on 4 or more, qualifying them for the AP Scholar with Honor Award. And 9 students qualified for the Scholar with Distinction by earning an average score of at least 3.5 on all AP exams taken. The AP Scholars for Goose Creek Memorial who are present tonight are Ayush Kaura. Go ahead, Ayush. All right, Jamila Birch. And Kalasia Jacobs, mom is here. If you will give us a wave. Thank you so much for coming in her place. All right, and then we are going to move on to our Impact Scholars and our scholar that is here with us tonight from Impact is an AP Scholar with distinction, and his name is Nicholas Garza. All right, we will move on to Sterling, and we have Violet Benjamin. This is an AP Scholar. Asana Gordon as an AP Scholar. Sebastian Kingston as AP Scholar. Okay, we have from Sterling, AP Scholars with Honor, Matthew Kosip. Aiden Fear. Our AP Scholar with distinction from Sterling is Hannah Coker. And we have an AP Scholar from GCM, Simran Singh. All right, while these students are getting a group picture, parents and family members, could you please stand so that we can give you a round of applause? All right. Thank you so much for your time, and congratulations again to all of our AP Scholars, Scholars with Honor, and Scholars with Distinction.
Congratulations, scholars. Let's give them one more round of applause. Well done. Okay, at this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. O'Brien for a special recognition and acknowledgement of our outgoing president, Ms. Tiffany Guy.
Well, on behalf of the administrative team, I would like to speak on Ms. Guy's presidency this past year. She's led with integrity, with honor, and certainly with poise and with a clear direction for us. We're very grateful for you and your service as president this past school year. Thank you very much. Right.
And Tiffany, Ms. Guy, on behalf of the board, I'm going to speak for us all. We thank you for your dedication and selfless service. Your contributions will always be remembered. Thank you.
You're official now, Miss Bruffins.
Looking good, girl.
Now, if Jerry gets out of line, you just move that gavel out.
Okay, that concludes this evening's opening exercises, and I'll now turn the meeting back over to President Barat Timms.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Clark. Great job. Okay. We're at the agenda for citizen participation. We have, what's my wording? Okay, found it. Mr. Jeff Minson is up for speaking for our first speaker. And Mr.
Welcome to the podium, Mr. Minson.
Again.
You recall the rules. You have 60 seconds.
It feels like it when I start, by the way.
You have 3 minutes, and you'll receive a notification when you have 1 minute remaining.
And maybe an award for being so short.
You may begin.
Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. O'Brien, I'm here tonight to ask for a change in the hiring policy of GCCISD and understand this is a sensitive issue. I have heard multiple times that our policy is to hire teachers and faculty to mirror the student population demographics. I believe this policy is deeply flawed and should be immediately dropped. Hiring should only be based on merit without any consideration for race, sexual orientation, religion, or heritage, but not for the reason many people would think. When I came to Houston almost 40 years ago, racial, gender, and religious prejudice was still embedded in many of the policies and practices of the workplace and society. We have come a long way, but still have a very long way to go. Better safeguards are now in place, and more people see the value of a diversified workforce and society. I have seen the damage to my friends when quotas or targets are implemented. I started with a team of very talented analysts at the ExxonMobil Baytown refinery. 3 of my friends came from very different backgrounds and ethnic groups than myself. They were some of the most talented, skilled people I have ever worked with. Their credentials were outstanding, having graduated with advanced degrees from Wharton, Rice, and Stanford universities. Over time, they advanced and did extremely well, rising to senior positions in the corporation. Although they deserved every promotion and leadership position they were given,
1 minute.
there was always a dark shadow that followed them. This was from a small group, sometimes influential group, that felt my friends only received their promotions and opportunities because of their race or gender. This undercurrent sometimes undermined my friends' ability to effectively lead and manage. This created an atmosphere of prejudice at work. We need to remove our hiring policy as it only promotes prejudice and undermines our teachers' ability to lead in the classroom. We should be proud that we value and hire diverse peoples based on their ability to help our children learn and grow. Please replace our hiring policy so we strengthen our teachers' credentials and remove any doubt that we hire the best for our children, period. Hire only based on merit, but with an eye for the need and value of diversity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minson. Now we'll move to approval of minutes and agenda. Okay, approval of minutes from the July 1st, 2024 regular board meeting. Are there any corrections or recommendations from any of our board members?
I move to approve July 1st minutes.
Second.
Okay. The July 1st board meeting minutes was moved by Mr. Campisi and second by Mr. Martinez.
Mr. Renteria was second.
Renterius, I'm sorry. I looked at you and gave the wrong name.
You're all right. I wouldn't mind being Mr. Martinez. He's a smart guy.
Okay, now we move to approve. All in favor? Raise your hand. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. Any opposed? The motion passes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 approvals. Okay, now we will move to the next approval of minutes from the July 15th meeting, July 15th, 2024, special board meeting. Is it any corrections or recommendations from the board?
I move to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay. The meetings have been moved to approve by Mr. Clem and second by Mr. Campisi. All in favor? Could you raise your hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 in favor. Any opposed? Minutes approved. Thank you. Now, Dr. O'Brien, as we move to discussion items, superintendent report.
Thank you, Madam President.
Over to you. Thank you.
We will move forward with a presentation on AP and dual credit report. I'll let the committee introduce themselves to you.
It must be Monday.
We want to thank the audience for your patience as we have technology set up. It has to warm up and we'll be ready to go. You could go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I got it. And thank you, Mr. Flood, always on the fly. Hi, I'm Kim Fox. I'm the Director of Counseling in College and Career.
And I am Shannon Ramirez, and I am the Coordinator for Advanced Academics.
I believe y'all know who I am, Susan Jackson.
All right, so tonight we are going to speak with you about our AP courses. I'll also discuss on-ramps UT dual credit with you, and Ms. Fox will talk about our dual credit for the district. We will be covering the 23-24 data on all of these items. All right, so for AP, the number of students that we had enrolled in at least one AP course for 23-24 was 692. The number the year before was 873, and you'll see when we get to our dual credit where those numbers are headed. For our campuses, if you will see, we have our 938 AP seats for the 23-24 year with 692 unique student enrollments overall. And you'll actually be able to review those campus numbers if you would like. We did have 57 AP scholars this year, and I'm very proud of that. That went up from 35 last year, so that was a big improvement. You can see across this bar chart that the numbers have improved. 23 was the green bar, and 24 is the blue bar. So GCM, Lee, and Sterling all improved their numbers for this past year. Impact had a little dip, and I wanted to address our middle schools because those were our AP Spanish scores. And our Baytown Junior students this year, 17 of them, we took them to Lee College, and they took the CLEP assessment. And of those 17 students, 15 of them earned college credit through the CLEP exam. So we're very proud of them for that. All right, so on this slide, you can see that we had some increased student outcomes in specific courses. So this isn't an overall.
Would you define student outcomes, please?
Yes, sir, I sure can. So their test scores increased in these classes.
Okay.
So for instance, if you would look at your main sheet, the big one, and let's look at calculus, you can see that last year we were at 24% and this year we're at 33%. So those are the courses we're showing. Yes, sir.
Big one.
That big one that you need your glasses for sure. It's pretty tiny. But that's what that is in referring to. And also, while I have this sheet out with y'all, if you'll look at the 23-24 data, and let's just give biology as an example, we have a percentage of 3, 4s, and 5s for the district, and that would be 22%, and the state is at 56%. So that shows us at a deficit in the next column, just for an example. All right, but as you can see, overall, from last year to this year, we went from a 28% pass rate to a 36% pass rate. So we did go up 8% over the past year. Part of the reason for that is...
Is that all exams taken divided by, or 3, 4, 5 divided by all exams taken?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So some of the things that we did last year to start the path to improvement for our AP courses was to create an advanced academic steering committee. That committee met 4 times last year, and we discussed goals and strategies for our AP students. We will be meeting again this year. We have 4 dates, September, December, February, and May, where we will be having that 4:30 meeting. Last year, we had AP teachers, we had campus and district administrators, and we had some parents on that committee. And it was very thought-provoking, and we decided on some very innovative things. This year, we are going to work with our core subjects to do some advanced academics PLC days so that our, for instance, biology teachers that are on different campuses can PLC together for their AP courses. We met with each AP teacher last year on campus visits and talked to them and asked what they needed from us to be successful. We did get some resources for them. Dr. Akers was able to do some workbooks and some textbooks for AP, so that was helpful. We are continually reviewing our AP processes. We did have our AP preparedness, our APSI this summer, so we did have teachers go there. And we have trained our administrators to do walkthroughs and look for those differences in the AP classroom compared to a traditional classroom. We'll also be doing that again this year. And we offered test prep weekends in April last year before the AP exams, and we'll be doing that again this year. And then we'll move on to on-ramps. And we had 138 individual students in on-ramps last year, but we had 100.
Okay.
Well, I do want to say that there were some great gains in AP this year. When I look at it, if I see a class of fewer than 10 students taking it, that tells me probably it wasn't I'm hoping it wasn't a class. Hopefully we didn't pay for a full class of kids to take a test and only fewer than 10 took it. So I don't really look at those numbers. And then like if it went up or down fewer than 5 percentage points, to me that's kind of steady. From what I look at, we had 7 classes that made significant increases. And so I hope that those are being celebrated on campuses also so that the other teachers can understand the importance of these pass rates, just like we do every other test that we take. But also I'm seeing that there were 6 that had significant decreases. And so I guess my question is, what are we doing to help that situation?
So we are doing some supports for the teachers. We've looked at physics. We've changed some teachers.
Oh, good.
For sure.
Okay. Well,
And we've looked at individual courses, and we've tried to make strategic decisions based on the campus as what are we going to do with that class. And one of those classes that we looked at very hard this year was the physics course at Sterling High School. And if you'll move to the next slide just so that she can see, if you look at Physics 1, it's at 94% that they can earn, they're eligible for credit through the on-ramps course, and we had a 0% pass rate in AP. So this year, our students are going to be in this physics
On-ramps.
from on-ramps instead. So we're looking at things like that in order to improve our student outcomes, because we want them to be successful, and if this is the way that they're going to be that way, then that's what we want for them. Yes.
Okay, I'm having a super hard time hearing tonight.
Sorry. Some
and I'm-
longitudinal data. So we shared with the campus principals, hey, this teacher's had this percent
Years.
for years, so we might need to rethink who's teaching that course and require some. If they were steadfast on, oh, no, I have to have that because of certification issues, then we required some additional training and supports.
Good. It also makes me very happy that the big high schools they increased their enrollment for one, and then it looks like their percentages in all of them went up. So that's pretty big.
I expect
good
more
job
this
there.
year because last year was really kind of where we started and implemented that process. So I think this year we'll see bigger gains, I'm hoping.
And I have to tell you that, I've told y'all before, my daughter's taken several classes. She passed her first one this year, and it was the teacher who goes and scores exams. So I've heard from AP teachers that that's like the biggest thing when it comes to being able to teach the kids what to expect on the test and what to just knowing what to prepare the kids for is going and scoring exams. And so anyway, just something to think about, encouraging
We've pushed
teachers
it for AP scores, and as well as we're pushing people that are in EOC tested areas to go out and apply to be a scorer so that they can do some training. If we get like 4 or 5 different high schools to have their teachers do that, then we're lucky enough to get at least 1 or 2 that's selected, and they can come back and share that with the others.
Good.
And that's kind of been a really good thing. We even got a Gates scholar that's a reviewer as well.
Good.
Really no different than a band director serving as a judge in a different classification, and they come back to their role in their
Oh, I get it now.
One more thing that I wanted to let you know is we're our Giant Con tomorrow and Wednesday. I actually have College Board coming in to present 2 sessions for
good.
AP Classroom, so that those AP teachers, the ones that have been there for a while and the new ones, will have the opportunity to learn AP
How to
Classroom.
really use it
Yes, and
effectively. Good.
that they'll learn how to use it a little bit better.
Good.
And we've also implemented this year, instead of having students that sign up to take the assessment that did not take the class, that won't be happening anymore.
Good.
Say that again, because you
We
may have
had
just answered one of my questions.
Probably. We had students that signed up for exams that did not actually take the class.
Okay.
And so that won't happen
Probably
anymore.
some of those singletons.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, if a kid pays their own way, we can't prevent that, can we?
If they pay their own, then that's up to them,
Good.
And that's why I don't look at this. When I see one test was given, I figure they probably self-studied, and
Right.
so can't really hold that against anybody.
Some of them were in the dual credit class, and they decided they wanted to try to get that AP credit as well. And so those decisions will be looked at a little bit more closely this year, so that we can.
Well,
had
they
one
heard that
take-
someone else took 5 tests, and they want to take 5 tests. So
We had one take Japanese this year, so
Oh my gosh.
they self-studied.
Domo arigato.
Mr.
Yeah,
Clune?
that's it. Well, I'm going to coattail I agree with all of Ms. Guy's statements and questions, but I'd like to dive a tiny bit deeper into the data you provided us on the spreadsheet. All these tests taken, we paid for.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the kids have no skin in the game other than to go take the test.
Right.
Is that an administrative policy or a board policy?
It was because of NIMSY.
Again, please? I'm sorry. I have my hearing aids in,
So
but I cannot hear.
NIMSY was a grant that started several years ago, before any of us were here.
define
at
the
Abbott.
acronym, please.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's math and science.
It's
a
the
grant.
National Math
Yeah.
and Science Initiative.
And when does it expire?
It's done.
It's
This was the
done.
last year.
So you'll see a difference for this year because we
Explain
aren't.
that to us, please.
So it's required that if we were part of that grant at the time that happened, that they have to take all of the tests.
Okay.
But it's gone now at the end of this year.
So who's paying for the test now?
This will
We
be
are now.
This is our last
And
year to pay.
Because of the grant or because of an administrative decision?
It was an administrative decision because by the time we had our review completion, our course selection had already started, and we did not want a student who thought that they were going to be able to take an AP course and take that assessment to then have to come back and pay for it. So when course selection occurs this year, there will be a stipulation in the course descriptions that state that you will be responsible for the AP exam.
Okay. I don't think, and I'm speaking for myself and maybe one colleague because we talked about it, but I don't think the board has a problem paying some if we can work it into the budget. But the kids need to have buy-in to what they're doing. Right. And the parents need to have buy-in to what they're doing. And maybe we could even develop an administrative policy of free and reduced lunch kids qualify for this much and so on and so forth.
So our free and reduced lunch students would pay $21 at the current rate for an AP exam, and our non-free and reduced lunch students would pay approximately $99.
Okay.
That's something that we've talked about, and I've also thought about, and this hasn't been decided,
but now's
that
the
we
time
could
to talk about it.
We could possibly reimburse students who pass the exam.
Oh, bring
after
the
the
lawyers
fact.
in on that decision, please. Yeah, we need to make sure that's okay. But
Right.
yeah, I think we could support things like that. But kids need to have a financial buy-in because this costs a lot of money.
Yes.
My next dive on the data on the spreadsheet would be how many kids signed up for the test and then didn't show up, and how many kids took the AP class and never even signed up.
So this year, everyone signed up for the exam because that was already done before we started.
No choice because of the grant, right?
Correct.
Okay. So if a kid is a no-show, is it a 1 or a no report?
It's a no report. They don't actually take the exam. They do have the opportunity. AP has dates to make up those exams, but if they don't come, then they don't get a score.
Because I guess where I'm heading with that is, are we filling some classes with kids that ought not be there just so they can get enough kids to make a class?
No. Not anymore. We're at such a crunch based on what we're doing with staff that we've been very clear if the class doesn't make, and we've hurt some feelings.
Well, what are we requiring to make an AP class?
18.
That's a bunch.
18.
I'm okay with that.
I've
15?
allowed some of the upper level AP classes to go at 15.
Okay.
Because, when you talk to the senior level, sometimes it's just hard to fit in.
I'm okay with that because the classes are hard.
But no less than 15.
What I had to teach in AP Music Theory back in the dark ages on stone tablets was at least 6 classes I took in college. The information I had to teach in 1 year was what I learned in 6 different college classes. And I'm sorry? AP Music Theory is a tremendous and I'm sure others are similar, but I kept looking, I'm going, kids, I can't teach you all of this. I'm going to teach you the stuff I'm good at. And the kids that got it still made 4s and 5s. But you had to pick and choose what you taught. Mm-hmm. So, but like Ms. Guy said, we have lots of gains to celebrate, but we may have some deficits that we really need to take a deep dive in and figure out. And my last question may be better saved for at the end of the presentation, but are we competing against ourselves with dual credit and AP?
I don't think so because we used to, but you have a student type that wants that AP course, and they may not take that credit to the college with them, but they want to prepare themselves for the rigor that they expect to see when they get there. So that AP course prepares them to maybe take calculus in college.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a difference in that.
We're also being streamlined about offering the same thing. So if we had physics, dual credit, physics, on-ramps, physics, so we streamlined that and said, what are we performing the best in that we're doing really well, and not, because we were spreading too thin.
So we're cutting our competition from ourselves.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's look one more time at on-ramps real quick. We're going to start again with on-ramps. So we had 138 students in on-ramps this year. This particular year, that number should go up because we are doing some maneuvering with that physics course. And if you'll look at their eligibility for credit, you can see that the lowest eligible credit we had was pre-cal at 62%, but everything else was in the 80s and 90s. So our students are performing well in on-ramps, and that's a year-long course. So the first half is the high school credit, and the second half they can opt to take the college credit, but they're not required to. So some of the students in these courses are also preparing themselves for the course when they get to college.
And is this the program, and if I misread, I kind of did some research on ramps, but in between creating slides for tomorrow. If a student makes let's say a low B or a high C through on ramps, they don't have to let that go to college unless they choose to.
Correct.
So it's not, it could count for them, but it doesn't have to count against them.
Yes. It is a UT course, and it's very rigorous, but we've seen a lot of success because you are teaching a semester course over a year.
Right.
So, but yes.
Great, thanks.
All right. Thank you so much.
I have a question about honor ramps and this is just because I want to know. For the college algebra, what are we, because I've seen some schools do it as Algebra 2. Is that what we're doing here, or are we doing it like independent studies?
Independent studies.
Independent studies.
Yeah, it's after Algebra 2. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. So
They're
then you get
really
independent
pushing
studies
us out of that.
semester.
The college algebra, that's not what they're wanting us to do anymore.
Okay.
Is that good? Yeah, independent studies for sure. So then they have that Algebra 2 foundation before they transition in.
Well, that makes sense to me, but I've seen a lot of schools do this for Algebra 2. So.
Y'all are going to have to talk louder because none of the men are here. It's not just...
Could we get the volume turned up just a little bit, Mr. Flood?
All right, Mr. Clem, is that better? See, they were talking all soft and sweetie. I'll tell you, I got it. I'm ready. I'll tear it up for those
Susan
music
good.
ears. What'd you say?
I heard Susan
Principal
real
voice,
good.
yeah. So welcome to the next part of our presentation. We want to talk to you about dual credit and the successes that we're having with our dual credit program. So first of all, we want to highlight our partnerships. And I will say, this is some of the stuff that other districts envy about our district. This is what other people are chasing, and they want to be like us. So I'm going to brag a little bit while I'm talking about our dual credit program. So we have a very long, robust partnership with Lee College. Of course, you're very familiar with that. Yes. But we've also partnered on some other pieces. So I want to shout out our CTE program, Leah Miller and her team, with some of the things we're doing with Lamar Institute of Tech and HCC. Those do support a lot of our CTE-focused pathways. And we're very excited for those as they grow and they continue to be strong. But this year, we will be starting a new partnership with San Jacinto College because we're bringing on a maritime program. And so just highlighting, just looking at these graphics, we have great partnerships. And I want to say we're blazing the trail that other people are trying to follow. So we're really proud of the partnerships that we've grown to. So the next slide, you'll see some of our degree options. And what I'd love to tell you is we're adding to this list all the time. And so it's going to get longer and it's going to get bigger and prettier every time you look at it. So really looking through, you see each of our high schools, what they offer, and then the degrees or certificate programs that are supported within. So just taking a look at that, we have lots of opportunities for our kids, and we really want to celebrate the many options that we provide. So looking at spring, of course, right now we are still, believe it or not, we're still getting kids enrolled in dual credit classes and fixing their schedules. And so we will have updated numbers for the fall, but this is our summary of information from the spring. So about 25% of all of our high school students are enrolled in some sort of dual credit type class, but really highlighting this, the seats, GCM at 1,000, and then you can see the rest of the numbers. Other things we'd like to highlight are some of our non-traditional schools and how their numbers are also growing, which really speaks to the support and the advising that we're providing our kids, saying this really is for everybody. And so we're proud of these numbers from our spring count. Those are seats, yes, sir. So, for example, the 6 virtual academy, it may have been a couple, like maybe 3 students taking 2 classes, for example. So looking ahead, I wanted to break this apart and let you know how we're performing with each of our partners. And so this is our Lee College spring data. So of course you have your A, B, and C, and this is the percentage of those scores. The D, and then the F and the withdrawal. Now remember, when you see Fs and withdrawals, these are college classes, life happens. These are actual fluctuating numbers we support with many things, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but these are real college classes, and then of course you see those seat counts to the side. So we're very happy with our success rate with our Lee College partnership. Moving on, our next partnership.
Kim, let me make sure, because I'm not sure everybody even understands that the way Lee College is just fabulous. A lot of junior colleges do not do this, but if I fail college algebra, once I retake it, it falls off my transcript, so it does not hurt my GPA at the college level.
Great point. Great point. So they can reset.
We have to put them in a coordinating class. So if they withdraw, we try to get them as close to they can recover that and put them in a coordinating class or an Edgenuity if we have to for original credit.
So we have many classes that are comparable that are just not that, they would be on-level regular courses that we move them into. So moving on, our next partnership that we want to highlight is our LIT courses. And so at GCM, that would be like your crime scene investigation, law. Sterling would be our EMT program, and at Stewart, it's collision and diesel. So again, LIT supporting more of our CTE-focused areas, so that's why they're not at every campus. But again, you're seeing very high success rates and support to our kids with our LIT partnership.
I have to tell you really quickly.
Yes.
UT ended up taking Zoe's
I'm so glad.
anatomy from there. So I think more colleges than it looked like we're going to are going to take it.
I love it. Thanks for sharing that. Oh, good job, Zoe. She talked them into it, right? She advocated for herself. Okay, so HCC, we have our digital communications at Stewart. And so there you see we're having a really great success rate with our HCC partnership. So you say, how do you get these great numbers? How are you getting kids, these A, B, and Cs? How are they doing so well in these college classes? There's a lot of things that go behind the scenes to making this success happen. So our program pathway planning, I'll talk a little more in a minute, but we really are keeping our kids on a pathway. We're not letting them deviate because it is best for their future success, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. Again, when we say what other districts want to copy our paper, this is another area with our shared advisors. We have our shared advisor Lee College folks that are embedded into our campuses. So for our students, they don't know the difference. They're just the college advisor that's at their school, and they provide them with a wealth of resources and support, and they're part of our team. So it's just part of what we do. Another huge support to the success is our grade level in college and career. Dr. Akers and myself, we meet with the academic deans and the college and career counselors every grading period and mid-grading period to say, what supports do you need? Do you need Blackboard help? Do you need textbook support? We try to remove any barriers that we can to support their success. And then moving ahead is really collaboration and growth. We're not ever satisfied. I don't know if you know this, but we're a little bit competitive and we want more all the time. So we're continuing to look for ways to grow to best support our kiddos. But then you say academic supports. We also have very robust programs like AVID that are supporting with those other academic skills that our kiddos need when they're in these college level classes. So we're really happy and continuing to grow also with our AVID supports for our college kids. So when I said the thing about keeping them online, to keeping them in the pathway, I wanted to share this with you because it truly is an innovative piece that statewide and nationally Goose Creek is being highlighted for, is how we have put together pathways with Lee College and align those articulation pieces even on to university past Lee College. So this is an example for you. It is clickable for you. And it takes you to the Lee College site. And if you look to the right at the bottom, these break out into individual plans. And so what this says, I'm going to say, when many of us were in school, you got a buffet style, right? I want to try a little bit of this. I want to try a little bit of that. But really, that is not the way of college now. It is affecting negatively if you buffet style things. It could imply that you lose some of your financial aid opportunities, your attempted hours. We don't want to put students in any type of scenario where they're having to make decisions later, so we help streamline that. Now, if their interests change, we support that. We see how we can embed those, but for the mainstream kiddo that knows what they want to do, we keep them on these plans. If you look at the bottom left, you see some of our shared advisors, and these folks come with their own expertise. You know, one of them, I'm going to say we stole from SFA. We stole another one from out of state. They are experienced college advisors, and so they're helping our kids really stay on those plans and get to the next level for them, for their success. Another way that we are streamlining some of our college readiness opportunities is really how we're testing. And so, again, I say like the buffet style for some of us that have been around for a while. It was also everybody takes SAT. And so we really want to be more prescriptive and best support and inform our families and our students. So we're using information from an incredible program that we have for college and career inventories named Zello. And we take the Zello information as just some of the information to help them make decisions on, is TSI best for you or is an SAT test best for you? Now, we're not going to limit anyone, but to help guide them to see which tests would better fit their next plans is really what we're looking towards. So we want to be more prescriptive in our college testing, and we're excited to help kids navigate that.
We also kind of realized that we had kids that had passed the SAT and scored what they needed to, and we had them taking TSA. So, you know, not a blanket one is good for everybody, but being very strategic.
So back in the day, signing up for the October SAT, then the December SAT, and then the January ACT, and I mean, that's what I did. So we're not having kids have to do that anymore?
No, we still are. It depends, because your goal may be that university does require an SAT and ACT scores. I own two children that they needed that, but that's not going to be the case for everyone.
That's not the norm anymore.
I don't know. We'll see. But we have some kiddos that will truly, their next interest would be better served with some TSI prep, and then we want to help encourage them to do that and not take a test that may not be in their scope or even in their focus.
Sure.
But then again, you'll have some of those middle of the roads that will need both because they aren't certain, and we can do that too. We just want to be a little more prescriptive in how we're applying those tests.
How does Zello get us there?
I can't wait to let you play with Zello. Zello does a lot of different things. It's really user-friendly with more about me, like what's your learning style, career, and I'm serious. I've played with it and tried to answer differently, and it brings me back to the same answer every time. I can't change the results. I try, really try. They give me something like major lottery winner, and it doesn't ever do that. So I work on that one. All right, so something else we'd like to share with you, and I know Ms. Jackson's going to speak in just a second, but we also are blazing the trail with this also with FAST. Legislation came through with our higher education coordinating board partners, and we really jumped ahead of it and outlined some shared documents, some shared data, so that we can get a handle on how we support with financial aid and then that monetary support. Ms. Jackson?
So I also want to say Dr. Ponce, who used to be the vice president of Lee College, now is one of our board members for TDCA, our state chapter, and she was actually served on the board for this legislation. So we really had a lot of voice for our Texas state chapter in this legislation. So really we're sitting, she told you before, we're not solid on our seats, but right now we're looking at about 3,300 seats for the fall. So what does that equate to? Before we were paying about $125 a class for a 3-hour class, then it went to about $150, and now it's gone up to $170 a 3-hour class. So it's about $56 an hour is what it is. So that equates to $577,000, which is what we would normally pay for those students to take those dual credit courses. However, 70% of those students meet the FAST criteria of being either free or reduced lunch over any time in the last 4 years is what it reads. So that is about a $400,000 savings, which really lowers our bill to Lee College and these other
higher ed institutes to about $170,000, which more than covers, thank goodness, our shared advisors and those kind of situations that come up. So we're really excited about that. This is a good estimate, but I figured in a budget crunch, it's something that I would share. The other highlight I wanted to share is we're about 76% low SES. And if you can see, 70% of our college-going students are first gen and meet that criteria, which means you're changing a community by giving them this education. So I just want to thank you for supporting these students in this program. The last thing is this is our first ever Texas Dual Credits Alliance Summit. We will be doing this starting, it will start on November 3rd. It'll be, the actual conference will be on the 4th and half day on the 5th. And the second half of that post-conference will actually be taking a group to Stewart Career Center. There's not students that day, so we will have ambassadors there that'll be doing some panel discussions and things about a CTE, early college high school. So if you see the two men, that is John Fink and Davis Jenkins. They're kind of the gods of all dual credit, housed at Columbia University. And they're so excited over the research that they've done with Lee College and Goose Creek that they have offered to come here and help us with this whole conference for free of charge and come for free and support the program. So we're excited that we're going to have like nationally renowned keynote speakers here. And so we're expecting this. We're going to host it in Baytown at the Hyatt Regency. It's very important that we are putting the money back into our community, I think. We're going to be giving them a list of local restaurants and things that we can promote for local tourism. I've actually reached out to Stacy, who is the Baytown City of Baytown Tourism. I didn't even know we had that, by the way, but found out. So that was really cool, and she's actually going to support the event and give us some volunteers. And I know that we've already talked to Mr. Clem, but if any of the rest of you would like to volunteer for this program, I know we're going to need people to work the tables and registration booths and things like that, since it is a statewide conference. But please share out.
You misspoke. I was voluntold.
Well, I was trying to,
Okay.
But you're retired.
Maybe we could take some of them to the Titan table. Do it on Monday instead of Wednesday.
Well, we are. They're closed, so the students are going to be there that morning. It's a half day. So they're actually going to have the post-conference will be part of the Titan table.
Awesome.
And we're going to do it in the cafeteria because it'll be a bigger group, and they're going to be the ones that cater the food.
Cool.
So with that, I wonder if anybody has any questions for me or for us. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. I do appreciate y'all pointing out the partnership with Lee College, in particular, the legislation that was passed the last session, FAST, and how, sometimes things just tend to work out. In this particular case, Goose Creek was funding the students' attendance at Lee College, and now through the higher education's allocated funding, it's reimbursing the district to the tune of about $400,000, and that turned out really nice. Great presentation. Thank you all very much. Madam President, would you like for us to move on to consent agenda? All right, action item 7A, consideration of consent agenda. Number one, I guess I should have started off by asking, do we have a representative in the audience from ExxonMobil or Harris County Department of Education this evening? No? Okay. I don't want to overlook the fact that those are significant donations coming our way through our Education Foundation. I do see Dr. Anna here this evening. Thank you for coordinating that effort through our business partners, but I'll get on with the consent at this time. Number one, donation from Goose Creek Education Foundation designated grant by ExxonMobil. Number two, donation from Goose Creek Education Foundation designated grant by Harris County Department of Ed. Number three, application for an optional flexible school day program, OFSDP, for Peter E. Highlands Center. Number four, proposed 24-25 staff development minutes waiver for the 2024-2025 school year. Number 5, Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU with Harris County Department Ed for Fortis Academy, the Recovery High School, in its amendment. Number 6, MD Anderson Service Agreement. Number 7, Agreement for the Purchase of Attendance Credits. Option 3, Agreement netting Chapter 48 funding, and to delegate contractual authority to the superintendent. First option, number 8, first option to extend the RFP number 24-001 for Fueling Brains Contracted Services and Related Products Agreement. Number 9, first option of RFP number 23-03, the Student Athletic Insurance. Number 10, first option to extend RFP number 23.002 for janitorial maintenance services at the District Central Administration Building. Number 11, third option to extend RFP number 21.019 for plumbing contractor services on an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, IDIQ basis. Number 12, third option to extend RFP and number 21.020 for solid waste management services. Number 13, third option to extend CSP number 21.018 for transportation equipment supplies and related services. And number 14, tax refunds as presented. Administration brings before the board for consideration this evening the consent agenda, asking for your approval.
Okay. Do we have any, at this time, do we have any further discussion or anything that needs to be pulled from any of our members?
And I'd like to pull 4 and 7, and I have a question on 9.
Okay. Mr. Clem has asked that we pull 4 and 7.
So who's my athletic insurance expert?
Ms. Cantu here this evening?
Well, and I bet you either one of you guys can handle it. On the cover page, it says the budget, what action is our current general fund budget, but it's my understanding that we're just hiring this company or approving this company to sell insurance to our athletes, not to Goose Creek. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
So do the students pay us and then we pass it through our budget to the company, or do they pay the company direct?
I'm not sure. I don't think they pay. They're paying for this, right? This is something that the district policy covers.
Yeah, but we can get that information for you.
Well, then unless it's an emergency to pass this tonight, we need to pull it then, just and move it to a future agenda.
Okay.
Because it's unclear as to whether this is, quote, student insurance that they purchase themselves, or is it coverage we are purchasing in the case of our liability?
I apologize. Dr. Price is out tonight.
That's okay. And if I hadn't have been doing other things this weekend, I would have asked this question sooner, but I got to it today. Okay,
All right,
so
we'll find out for you.
all right.
Administration will pull it and have it on the agenda for the next
Thank
board
you.
meeting.
And let's see. The other two I'd like to discuss separately. So then I would make a motion to approve consent agenda 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 as presented.
I'll second.
Upon motion by Mr. Clem and duly second by Ms. Guy.
Do I need to repeat the numbers, or did you get it?
We need to repeat the numbers.
Repeat the numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Do I have to
And then
repeat
we're
those?
pulling 9 for a future agenda,
Okay.
or postponing.
Okay.
So I motioned and she
Motion,
seconded.
she
Yeah.
second, duly second. Any further discussion to the consent agenda as we move forward? All in favor, could you raise your hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And any opposed? Any abstention? Okay, it's approved by 6 votes.
All right, and the consent agenda items pulled. The first one will be presented by Ms. Jackson, the second one by Ms. Clark.
Okay. Well,
Question number 4.
Since you're already up here, let's go backwards. The purchase of attendance credits.
Ms. Clark, that's number 7, agreement for the purchase of attendance credits. Option 3, agreement netting Chapter 48 funding, and to delegate the contractual authority to the superintendent. So regarding recapture.
Yes.
So
Yes.
reading the 3 legal words I understood on the agreement, and that was sarcasm. Is this like an application that we might want to do something later at the end of the year?
This is, it's oddly worded, I agree. It's very confusing, but all it is because we're in recapture territory now, it's just under $1 million, but nonetheless, it's just giving us the option to net our state funding against our recapture. That's all it is.
So it's going to make us money, not cost us money.
Yeah, it's just the process. And
It's
so
gonna neutralize
instead of us paying the recapture at the end of the year,
okay,
TEA nets the state funding.
If I would have pasted the text of that document into AI somewhere and said, simplify this, would I have understood that at all? Because it sounded like you were asking us to approve something that we're going to spend 6 or 8 months from now.
Right. That's
okay.
No. That's
so this is really based on last year's numbers more than what's coming up.
Well, it's for this year, but it's just giving us permission to net TEA funding against recapture.
So
that's all it is.
Keeping us out of recapture.
Based upon taxable values.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Cool. All right. Thank you.
That's it.
And then number 4.
Minutes waiver.
Yeah. Blah blah blah. Okay. It doesn't cost me anything, so that's good. So the question is, and I promise I read the TEA code, and it's just like that document we just talked about with Ms. Clark. This is an application to do what? To take 2,100 minutes away from instruction and put it to teacher training?
It's 5 days worth of PD. We have 4, 2 in the fall.
So we're going to take 2,100 minutes away from the 75, 6 that we teach kids?
It's actually 1 day less at 7,500. It's actually less because we have 4 days. We normally do 5.
And what do we do with those days?
Those are our professional development days, our PLC days.
Good. And since you brought that up, how do we evaluate the success of the PLC days or the failure?
We've revamped that totally over the summer for this year. So the morning of those days are all district PD, meaning content specific. And so our TLCs, our district specialists, all of our instructional professionals are doing PD all the way from even if it's in fine arts, they have their own PD at the district level.
You're reading my mind, but keep going.
Okay. And then the second half of the day, they actually go back to their campus because the campus needed time to plan as well. And the campus gets those teachers to do a PD day as well, or half a day with them. And they have to turn in their agenda 2 weeks ahead of time to us for us to review those agendas at the campus and ensure that it is actually instructionally focused on what their campus goals are.
And we use that information to decide the success of the program?
Yes, sir.
How do we know if it's being effective for our children?
From their assessment scores. So we're looking at our MAP scores, our CUAs, and all that's attached to our assessment calendar, which we decreased quite significantly.
But we're going to get to see more of those numbers too.
Yes.
Because we bring them up all the time, but we rarely see anything.
Every month, we have 2 different principal PLCs. We have an operational meeting that's no more than 2 hours this coming year, and then we have the principal PLC. Each of the 4 core departments have to present to the campus principals, and then they will actually flip this whole process to the assistant principals and SSAs as well, and they will get them look-fars. So every principal is given, here's what you should be seeing in ELA in the 3rd grade. These are the look-fars you should be seeing, and here's an example of the level of that skill that's being taught. We're really breaking it down for them because we have not only new teachers, we have new administrators that are young and new, and some have been out of the classroom 3 years.
Right.
You know,
So we're going to really break it down and scaffold that learning for them so that they can go back and do instructional walks, and we'll do some internal walks. We've also done some paired mentoring as well for our new administrators. They've been paired with a seasoned, and they will start out doing instructional walks on their campus to see what does instruction look like, what level does it look like, because I may walk in and think this is a great activity, everybody's engaged, but it's 3 grade levels below what it should be.
Yeah. Are we still doing instructional rounds?
We're doing internal instructional walks because we're through a budget crisis, and that's a very expensive.
I was going to say, what you just described to me sounds much more effective than what I've heard about instructional rounds.
I agree. But and I will do that for free, by the way. Okay. Like everything else I do around here. Okay.
Ms. Clark has returned to
believe,
the table.
Yeah,
I suspect she may have an answer for number 9.
Number 9, awesome.
Yes, sir. So I got a response. It is actually both. The district pays for UIL activities, and then there's a portion a parent can purchase for extra coverage for any student if they choose to do so.
Okay, cool. That's what I was searching for. So
okay.
Can we put that back in? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Would anyone else like to coattail off of anything, or can I motion to approve these?
You'd be motioning for 4, 7, and 9.
Yes, I'd make a motion to approve 4, 7, and 9 as discussed.
Second.
Any other discussion? Okay, we shall move forward with
Can we vote?
motion.
Oh.
And
Second.
second by Mr. Martese. And all in favor, raise your hand, please. And any opposed? Any abstention? Okay. It has been approved by the number 6-4. Thank you. We will now move into our next item for future board agendas, board training, and board meetings. Anyone have any discussions or?
Madam President, moving forward, in light of our police department discussion, I would like to include quarterly updates at least on the police department moving forward. And that could take place in closed session. I'd be good with that. Thank you.
Anyone else like to have any more details on that or add to? Don't have to vote on it. Okay, thank you. Duly noted.
Hey, can I add something to that on agenda?
Board training, board meetings,
No, on the
agenda items?
yeah, or whenever, I guess. But I'd like to take a look at the hiring policy that we have that Mr. Menson mentioned.
You want more details on that and have a report
Yep.
on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Duly noted. Anyone else want more details? Mr. Renteris brought up about the hiring policy that was mentioned by a citizen this afternoon. He wants more details and a full report on it. Anyone else have any additional information for that they would like to see in addition? Okay,
Administration will be happy to bring those forward in a future board meeting.
thank you. Okay, next item. Oh, I have to read this long thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a Gulf Coast Association meeting coming up? It has, and okay, because I can't.
And the board has fall conference in September?
Yeah,
right?
And it's in San Antonio this year, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The 27th to the 29th.
Okay.
I won't be at that.
Because I looked at an old meeting. Okay. For the conference? Okay. Okay. As we move forward, at this time, the board will now recess into closed session pursuant to the following section of the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Section 551, 071, 072, 073, 074, 075, 076, 082, 083, 084, and 087. No action will be taken while the board is in closed session, and it is 7:09. State that the time. This time, okay. Would you continue with the consideration of personnel at this time?
Yes, the administration would ask the board to consider approving the elections and accepting the resignations and retirements as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Clem and duly second by Ms. Guy. Any discussions? All in favor, please raise your hand. 6-4. Anyone against? Motion passed by 6. Thank you.
All right, next we have administrative elections. Bring before the board for consideration District Dyslexia Specialist, Shay Moore.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, the motion has been set by Mr. Capisi and second by Ms. Guy. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. 6-4. Anyone against? No one against. So the motion passes with 6.
Educational Technology Specialist, Monique Miles.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Clem and duly second by Mr. Martinez. Any discussion at this time? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes with 6.
Administration brings before the board for consideration secondary counselors, Joy Green, Rosa Gonzalez. Joy Green at Stewart Career and Rosa Gonzalez at Horace Mann Jr.
Move to approve.
Second.
Who was it? You?
Jesse.
Okay. Jesse, okay. Motion by Jesse, duly second by Mr. Campisi. And any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. 6-4. None against. Motion has passed.
Administration brings before the board selection of educational diagnosticians, Amanda Vaughn and Alicia Moy.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion was motion by Mr. Clem, duly second by Mr. Renteris. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. 6 approved, none against. Motion passed.
And a final comment this evening from administration. We'd like to honor Ms. Carrie Tilton for 20 years of service with Goose Creek. She retired in June and was unable to attend, and I just wanted to bring notice for her faithful service to Goose Creek CISD for the last 20 years, and wanted to acknowledge her and express our appreciation with a plaque that I'll be presenting her personally.
Thank you, Dr. Please send our heartfelt and wish her well. If there is no objection, we will now into closed session. No action. Can I have a motion?
We're going back into closed session?
No, I'm sorry. What am I? Adjourn.
That was a test, guys.
We've always got time to go back for one more close.
That's when my grandson asked me to take a break.
I was
going
to eat some more lasagna. Come on now.
Oh, God.
Motion to adjourn by acclamation.
Motion to adjourn by acclamation. Oh, thank you.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.